Hello, my fellow Neopets, and happy Peophin Day. I'm very excited to be joining you and doing all of the fun readings, hopefully. If you've joined me before, you probably know the drill. Go ahead and jump to whatever deck you would like. If you are curious of which oracle deck we are doing today, we are doing Magical Mermaids and Dolphins, because to me, Peophins are kind of just that combo of sea creatures and stuff that I think is perfect for this deck, and they have some mermaid qualities but dolphin qualities, all of that stuff. So I'm very excited to be reading with that particular oracle and this for these readings today. If you are curious what decks we have before us, we have the Wisdom of the Owls, Shadowscapes, Mystical Cats, and the New Moon Tarot. You are more than welcome to jump to whichever one that makes sense to you. If you're called to more than one, feel free to watch more than one pile. Sometimes there's something that needs to be told to you from various places. And if you need to watch all of them, go ahead. But feel free to just watch one if that's where you feel called. All right, pile one, we're going to get started. Hello, pile one. You have chosen the Owls Tarot. Our Mermaids and Dolphins soul card is soulmate relationship. New romance with a spiritual basis is here for you now. Basically, if you are, I don't necessarily think this is has to be like a romantic relationship. This could be a friendship or a new relationship of some sort that you are like, yeah, this has been wonderful, and this has been like such a cool spiritual journey from us that like we've been very open honestly with each other. We've discussed a lot of things. We are in the midst of having really good conversation, and you might be really excited to keep deepening this relationship, and this is actually kind of your sign to slow down, go with the flow, dance in the rhythm of the water, just allow everything to go as it needs to. Forcing it will probably actually slow the process rather than allowing both of you to grow naturally into this relationship, which will be really important. We're going to get some Owls cards. I have a very bright window apparently because I didn't realize how much of a glare this was. So if we need to, I might have to adjust some lighting. All right. So our first Owls card is the Five of Swords. Going into the Nine of Swords. The Lovers. King of Wands, the Two of Wands, and our final card is Judgment. I can understand that you are probably a little nervous about this advice that I gave you from the soulmate relationship card. That dolphin card is probably not what you were wanting to hear. You've been kind of probably thinking about this relationship for a minute. You've been worried or kind of anxious about it and trying to like figure out what's the next correct move. And the idea of just going with the flow sounds awful. Like, why? No, I don't know how to do that. It can be that very awkward feeling of like, I don't know. This person's really cool though. Like, ugh. And this is really like, you need to kind of sink into yourself a little bit and like, okay, who am I? Am I still the person who I would like to be? And like, remember, you're not changing for them kind of a moment. You are trying to keep yourself you while also growing in the relationship with this person. As you learn from them, you are growing, but you can't learn if you don't conflict it sometimes. I think there's going to be quite the choice that you have to make. And looking back, you'll go, oh, this was the moment. And you're probably not going to realize in that moment that it was the choice. But you are going to have to realize that you need to take care of yourself in order to be able to be with somebody else and to support this relationship. It's really hard. Especially if you've been out of relationships for a minute and haven't worked with others for a while. Like if you're disconnected in any way, or maybe you've kind of been like, yeah, I'm flying solo and I'm okay with that. That can be really hard to then kind of go, oh, maybe I don't want to be alone anymore. And I think that's really important to realize in this moment of like, you can thrive in both settings, it's just a matter of making sure you're still true to yourself. And that doesn't necessarily mean pushing people away to be true to yourself. You can still be kind, you can still be nice, you can still grow these relationships, friendships, romantic or otherwise. These are going to be wonderful. This is a wonderful thing that you've stumbled across. And the fact that you two have spiritually connected in such a way is wonderful. But like, don't force the situation. Even though you're really excited about it, maybe because again, like maybe it's been a long time and you're just like, wow, I forgot how nice this was. Or maybe this is new and this is wonderful. And now you're like, oh, but hold on. I'm really excited about this, but they don't seem quite as into it. They probably are into it, but you need to like allow a step back and allow things to just kind of flow and naturally grow, and allow both of you to equally give and take, and just to let that flow happen, that back and forth, listen to the waves kind of a thing. I don't want you to emotionally turn off in this situation though, just because it's like, I think that's part of the problem here, is that you have shoved everything emotionally aside, that you're like, I can't listen to this because I'm too excited about this relationship. I'm looking too forward to this relationship. I'm too into this person. I want this person to be romantically interested in me, or whatever the case may be, that you're kind of like, oh, I don't know. So let me just shove those emotions to the side, and then I can just focus on, well, what's happening? Like, are we logically together? That's not the point. Most relationships have a huge emotional, heavy balance to them. A lot of emotional weight happens, and you need to still look into that and realize it's still a thing, and that you need to balance this out with, you need to balance the emotional relationship, the physical relationship, the mental relationship, and the spiritual part of the relationship all together. All of these things need to balance. All of these elements need to go together and kind of make themselves known in a way that works for both of you. And this can be very hard. I think you two spiritually are having a really great time, but emotionally you're probably on two different beats. And it's not that you're not attracted to each other or not wanting to be friends. It's just that you are both on two different kind of wave points and two different lanes, that to come together is going to take some work. Also, remember what is physically going on around you. I think with the spiritual discussion, sometimes you can get really lost in it and forget where you are. Not every conversation can happen in Target, if that makes sense. Certain conversations you have to be aware of who is around you and what's going on. You know, the Starbucks isn't always the best place to have certain conversations. So some of that might need to be discussed, of like, hey, I would love to get into this conversation more. Are you willing to go to X place? Maybe go on a walk in a park where nobody's really listening to you anyway, and that allows for things, stuff like that. Yeah, I just think this is a beautiful start of a relationship, and that you guys have something really special, and that I'm really excited for both of you. I just don't want you to ruin it, I guess. I think this is really wonderful though, and I think you know it too, and I think you're going to look back and be like, oh yeah, this is good. And especially you're going to start kind of settling in with this person. I think if you take this advice and like really allow both of you to just ride this wave, allow yourself to just kind of see what happens, push and pull. Hey, they don't want to talk for a week. That's okay. Don't push it. And then, you come back and there's like checking in, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. We're still fine. It was just, they were busy, and that's okay. And you're just kind of like come and go, and that relationship will stand really strong, which is wonderful. You'll probably get to a moment though of like, is this still working? And it is. It's, again, you just have to kind of keep coming back to this point that back and forth. Here we go. It's very much, I keep thinking of like an ocean wave of just back and forth. It comes and goes. And sometimes it works its way up the shoreline, and sometimes it works its way down the shoreline. And that is okay. Thank you so much for letting me read for you, Pile 1. I wish you the best in this fabulous relationship that you're looking at. Work on yourself and stay true to yourself and be honest. in this situation. That's going to be really helpful for you. Hello, Pile 2. You have chosen the Shadowscapes Tarot. Our card from the Mermaids and Dolphins is Consult an Expert. More information is needed. Contact someone with expertise in this area. So we'll see if there's a little bit more information from that. But if you came in here with kind of a very specific question in mind or a very specific topic in mind, you need to consult somebody, an expert in this. I would caution, and I guess the cards may say otherwise, but I would caution that I am not an expert. So if you need to contact a counselor or if you need to contact a specialist in something, you should be doing that. I am not a doctor in any way, shape, or form of any shape or form type. So I'm not somebody who can help in any respect in that sense. And I also don't think that my advice would be good even in the spiritual realm. I can give you what I can, but I am still very much in my own practice and trying to learn as much as possible, I think. And you guys are just kind of seeing the practice of it. Giving advice is probably a little here and there. So we are going to pull some cards, though, and see kind of if this may help a little bit. It may not. It might be a completely different topic that it's like, hey, the thing you came in here for, this, you need to go talk to an expert. But in other words, maybe the cards have something else to tell you. So we're going to see what they have to say. Honestly, it wants both piles. So what we're going to do, this is not what I usually do. We're going to pull 2 at a time. We have the Star and the 3 of Wands. Going into the 6 of Pentacles and the 9 of Swords. And our final cards is the Emperor and the 8 of Swords. This is interesting. This almost seems that you are upset that something's happened. I'm not sure. This reads as if it's a cycle that you were kind of used to. And I'm not sure where you are in this cycle. So we're going to start, let's see. I think we're going to start with this 8 of Swords and 9 of Swords down here. This cycle of things change, you get anxious because of the change, and you probably feel a bit isolated, you feel lonely, and so this loneliness, this isolation that happens causes some anxiety and kind of just, you end up swirling a ton. This like visual here really makes sense to me, that like you're kind of stuck in your head and you kind of keep revolving back to you and back to you and back to you and back to you. And eventually you are kind of able to realize there is something else there, and you are able to almost know that like something's going to end, something's going to happen, and you are able to prepare and get ready for this new thing to happen. And you get this hopeful side of you that's like, I'm coming out of it because I'm doing something. I'm able to make, a statement. I'm able to do a thing, and now I'm able to move forward. And you have this hope of that's coming through. And with that hope, you're able to get so excited that you're able to like come out of yourself and be able to give to others. You're not so indulgent. I don't think indulgent is the word, but you're not so self-centered, which I know can be such a strong term, but you're not so focused on yourself. Like, you're really not self-centered. You're like aware of the world around you, and you're able to kind of realize, oh, there's other things but just me. And then you start to try to protect that, and you end up kind of falling back into this cycle of thinking of yourself and getting anxious and worried that maybe you're doing something wrong. Maybe you're not doing enough for the world. Maybe you're not doing enough for everything. And then you self-isolate again and kind of keep circling, and then you kind of build yourself back up, and then you get hopeful again, and then you're like able to give, and then you start kind of building walls, and it may be due to a situation that keeps happening. This cycle keeps continuing. And it sucks because this is really a bummer. And if this is something where you suspect it's depression, anxiety, or anything, you should seek a therapist. if you think this is like, yeah, this is the constant, my partner builds me up and then drops me down, builds me up and drops me down, you need to consult somebody about this. I am not that person. You need to go and talk to somebody who, like a relationship therapist or somebody, a counselor. You need to go and discuss something with somebody else. And this may be a situation where you need to also reach out to friends, people close to you, and go, I need help. And that can be really hard. And I know that. And you're going to be so strong for doing it, though. This situation isn't good, though. This cycle that you're continuing is not okay. And you do need to get out of it. And you need to try to break free of it. This involves other people, though, of which it seems you keep pushing away. This is not a deck that has a lot of solo players in it, and the fact that there's a lot of solo main characters in this, and yes, there's like some, like we have a flock of birds and stuff, but like our swan is trapped with like one little hummingbird up at the top, and it's like not the same as like it, like this, it just feels so lonely. And I don't think you're meaning to feel lonely. I think you want this relationship where you're with somebody else, where you have somebody to lean into. And I think this is really a time to go and seek experts. Go and find people in your area. This is incredibly scary. And I unfortunately, it's not always the first therapist. You may need to interview multiple therapists. You may need to have consultations with many to kind of find one that you vibe with and are willing to tell them what's going on. But you do need to start this process, and you need to start figuring out what you can do to help yourself. That's really big in this situation. I'm not equipped to help you further than that, to be honest. If this cycle, though, makes sense and that you're like, yeah, this is something that happens, either I'm doing it to myself, somebody else is doing it to me, or I kind of go in this cycle of depression and anxiety, and then I get better because I, due to hormones or whatever, like something starts cycling up, and then you're like, okay, I'm good now, I'm happy, it's fine, and then you're able to give to everybody, and you try to like kind of protect yourself, but something within that protection, or maybe it just cycles back naturally to that anxious, isolated spot. I hope this makes sense. Unfortunately, that makes sense, I guess. I really hope, though, that this will be able to get resolved for you. And I hope you have people in your life that you can look to or help, ask for help, or have them help you. You know, do you need them to come sit in a session of therapy with you? Do they need to, you know, give you a ride to and from to make sure you go? Stuff like that. So thank you so much, Pile 2, for letting me read for you. I'm not sure if you were thankful I did, but I really wish the best for you, and I hope that you are physically okay, mentally okay, emotionally okay, and spiritually okay. Because this is rough. And you don't have to live in this cycle. You really don't. Hello, Pile 3. You've chosen the Mystical Cats Tarot. I will warn you at the beginning of this, though, that the cats sometimes come out with their claws to play. This deck does not play around. It likes to tell you what's up. So hopefully that's okay. We're going to start with our Mermaids and Dolphins card, and it's Mother Healing. As your feelings toward your mother heal, your desires manifest more rapidly and accurately. I think it's important to remember that mother figures often help us gather resources and get prepared for life, and that's not always the case with your actual biological mother. So this might be a fact of that maybe that person wasn't who you wanted it to be, that's attached to the name mother, but maybe you have somebody else, and you need to realize how those feelings resolve and heal and what that all means. So whatever that calls you to do, I think you know what's to do. I think most of you will have a reaction that will make sense. So, all right. So, as your feelings toward your mother heal, your desires manifest more rapidly and accurately. Yeah, I think that's with anybody, though. If you don't focus on them as much, you can focus on your dreams and stuff, which is really nice. All right. Here, I think, is where we want to Okay. Getting a couple cards that I want. So our first card is the Ten of Sea. Then wants the Four of Earth. The Priest. The Three of Sky. A little bit slidey on the cards. And then we have the Seven of Earth. Our last card is the Eight of Sea. There is a point that you have to realize that you can't keep everything perfect. And as hard as you will try for perfection, it's not going to happen. It's unfortunate, and it's a hard pill to swallow a lot of the time. And some of you might be denying the fact that you don't strive for perfect. And I have terrible news for you. And it might not even be in what you think it is. I think this is more of a, you want the world to function better. You wish for the things to do this or that. There will always be people who try to take more power than belongs to them. There will always be people who think they are in the right when they are not, to the majority, various things. For you, you have a wonderful team around you. You have a wonderful group of friends, family. There's relationships in your life that mean a lot to you and are incredibly helpful to you. I think that Mother Healing card is talking about some relationships that you also wish were perfect and wonderful, and it's okay if they're not, and it's okay if they need to be, let go, and, you just need to say goodbye to them. And that may just be the case. I think you're going to end up really disappointed the more you wait this out to keep that relationship. I think you feel kind of trapped in a system that doesn't work for you. I also think there's a little bit of trying to keep you and your own protected, like you and your friends, to so protected from the system that you're actually doing more harm than good. Some things have to break and crumble in order to be rebuilt. You can't, reuse something if it's not already, taken apart. And sometimes you have to be the destructor, and that's sometimes the thing. And some things are good for patience and to have, some time to wait. But I think you might... This Eight of Sea card is... As this cat listens to the ocean in the seashell, I almost think of... Because it looks like he's in like a desert environment. It feels like you are trying to get to the sea, but instead you found a seashell that gives you the sound of it. It doesn't truly give you the sea. You're not getting to play in the water. You're not getting to do anything like that. And that's kind of the situation you're in, is that you've made this so that it seems like part of it is correct. Like, you have the sound, but you don't have the feel. You don't have the touch. You don't have, the soft sand or anything. You don't have the smell of the ocean. You can't see, this endless horizon. Instead, you're just closing your eyes and hoping the sea is there and pretending it is, and it's not. This escapism and desire to leave the current situation isn't uncommon. And it's often desired by many. We all kind of wish to escape what we are in. But I do want you to realize that it's not okay to always live in that. And it's baby steps. You'll get in and out of it as you can. And sometimes it'll be easier than other days. But I do want you to know that it's really important to not stay stuck. To not stay in this pretend land. And to really work on fixing things. This is the time to confront those relationships. Between the Mother Healing and these cards, you need to confront the relationships that aren't working. This is going to hurt. And it might be joyful. this might work out so much better and your relationships will be so much stronger. And yes, there might be a possibility that you guys are no longer friends. But for your sake, you really do need to take the action and do something about it. I wish you the best of luck in that situation. I'm not really sure. It's not particularly clear in the cards or in the terms and voices and whatnot the visions and whatnot I get that on how to do it. I think you're going to know more than anything. Yeah, I really wish the best for you. Violence is not always the answer. There's like another layer coming in right now for me of this reading, so I am just listening for a minute here. We live in a system. I'm from the United States. We live in a system that can feel very trapping. And you might also live elsewhere, and you might, feel very trapped with your parents or with the school or whatever, and that it feels irresponsible. It feels like people are not giving enough when they have so much, and that destruction is the only way to get a response. And it definitely gets something. But patience will also help in this situation. But know a facade when they're just trying to cover something with a Band-Aid. That'll be really important in this. And gather people to help you. Pile 3, this had a lot in it. I hope you're doing okay. I think you got some hard steps to take. I wish you the best in those steps. Hello, Pile 4, and welcome to the New Moon Tarot. Our Mermaids and Dolphins card is Father Healing. Your personal power increases as you give any father-related issues to heaven. This is an interesting one. I don't have any strong readings from this card, to be honest. There's the last few the other piles had very clear kind of definitions of what they were trying to tell me, and this one is a little more vague. So we're gonna see if the tarot cards have a little bit more to help us with. My first inclination was the institutions around you can feel very they almost bear down on you. I think often we see the father figure as a protector in a lot of stories. That I think the easiest way to say it is the Mr. Incredible. In The Incredibles, everybody's kind of a trope of their type, and so the idea that Mr. Incredible is the strong person and bears the weight for the family and tries to take care of the family kind of idea. I think that's where if you have issues with that strength, that power, that may be where you need to work on things and see how to help yourself. I'd be curious if the strength card shows up or if something else similar in a power. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like this is almost like you trying to be okay with your personal power. So we will see what the cards say first, though. Our first card is 5 of Cups. We then have the Emperor. Yeah, this is the father of the tarot deck to some people. This is the father figure. So I think that's very fitting for what we're seeing. The 3 of Wands going into 3 of Cups. The 4 of Cups. And our last card is the 6 of Pentacles. I think there's some regret with this father figure if you're thinking of a particular person and you're upset with yourself more than anything than this other person, and that you wish that things hadn't gone the way they had gone. You're now trying to kind of stuck in this, like, trying to prepare for the next time you meet. Probably stuck in this, like, trying to figure out how to get your bearings again. And part of that is definitely looking at, you know, who surrounds you. What other people and family members and friends surround you that you can kind of go to and be like, hey, this is going on. This is what's bothering me. I think you're probably pushing away how much of a mental toll this takes on you, though. And I don't want you to. I want you to, like, you know, understand that this is probably very stressful and that's okay to say. And that the mental side of this is just as important as the emotional side that you are happily bearing. You know, you're happy to say that, oh, this thing went wrong. Oh, that thing went wrong. And you're happy to, like, let the emotions happen and, you know, think about your emotions. But I think you're not really willing to grieve and allow the mental stuff that comes with it sometimes with those emotions. I think that needs to be really analyzed and looked at and understand what's going on there. There is a wonderful ending to this that I think you're going to be very happy with, that, like, but I don't know if it's necessarily the ending you're thinking it's going to be. Some things require two people to change it. And if it's just you by yourself trying to change it, it's not going to change. And that is sometimes really hard to live with. When you make peace with that you have done and are doing what you can, I think you're going to be a lot happier. You're going to realize that your energy can go to other things. You're going to be able to give to a lot more stuff. You're going to allow yourself to flourish so much more. Yeah, your personal power increases as you give any father-related issues to heaven. This is a time to analyze the situation. You can try to, you know, make it better, make up, and, you know, get along again. But this is not a situation where it's necessarily going to work if the other person doesn't, and you don't have control over them. So you can't do anything about that. And you need to make peace with the fact that you don't have that control before going into it, and that it's going to be okay no matter the answer. Thank you so much, Pile 4, for letting me read for you. I really wish you the best in this. I think this is a rough one. This feels like a hard pill to swallow kind of one. So I hope you're going to be okay. Take some time to take care of yourself physically. You know, take a long bath. Go take a shower if you haven't. Do some, you know, exercise. Take a walk. Take care of you. You are worth it.